Hello there and welcome. I am so excited to bring on a guest today, Dr. Emily Ramon, who leads our Parkinson's program. And we're going to talk all things Parkinson's today. So if you are joining us live, welcome. Founder of re+active. And I will be welcoming Dr. Emily Ramon, also a neurologic physical therapist, also part of re+active. And look how quickly you made it in. Yay. Look at that. When technology works.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I was just introducing you, which is great. And somebody already said, hey, and maybe your wonderful husband also joined live. I love
Yeah.
it when family members are here. So welcome. And Emily, you know what, maybe you can share first a little bit about you, because I know you have this really great history, and you and I go all the way back to residency
Mhm.
at USC, but you've done a lot in movement disorders and Parkinson's, so it might be helpful to hear a little of your story.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, happy to be here. This is new for me, so thanks social media for bearing with me. And my dog is better at this than I am. If y'all have seen Nike on our page. But Julie said, I met Julie back in 2016 when after I finished PT school, I went ahead and did my neurologic residency with the University of Southern California in Rancho Los Amigos. And upon graduating from that program, I moved to Miami and I worked for the University of Miami, which is where I feel I really started to find my way in working with people with movement disorders and specifically Parkinson's disease. As a part of that amazing outpatient team, I got to help start the Parkinson Center for Excellence at the University of Miami, take on some of the didactic teaching in the residency program for our physical therapy residents. And really just further build a passion and love for working with people with movement disorders and yeah, Parkinson's. And I think it ended up being a place that I felt very passionate about and continue to feel passionate about because it also blends my love for all things wellness and helping to help people feel empowered to continue to find fun and intense ways to exercise to help them feel more in control of their brain and their health.
So basically, Emily's a rock star. If you couldn't tell from all that she's been involved in, and then luckily Emily wanted to move out to LA, and we got connected for her to be here at re+active. She leads our Parkinson's program and our wellness program, which has a large component of supporting people in Parkinson's as well. And these programs have really grown and flourished under Emily's lead because she is a rock star. But people ask me all of the time, what is your Parkinson's program? What do you do? Why is this different? There's a lot of different ways people can exercise or do neuro rehab with Parkinson's. Like,
Mhm.
what's the re+active program?
Yeah, I was thinking about how to describe this. I feel like it's like a unicorn program. And what I mean by that is we are really individually tailoring it to meet someone's needs. And I think all of our programs do a great job at this. I know when I came on with the team, since I've been here, we've kind of developed all these different pathways that we have for people who come to see us with Parkinson's. And it really begins with that initial consultation. So, we have free consults for people who are interested in therapy services. And from there, we help determine what is the best pathway fit for a person. And so kind of under the umbrella of our Parkinson's program, we have an early evaluation and prevention program, which is something that we connect people with who are newly diagnosed with Parkinson's within the first few years. Um, they get to have this like really amazing comprehensive assessment where we look at the whole person, the whole system. So things like assessing our vestibular function and balance and cognition, how our eyes move, how our joints move, just like this really big picture of how things are. And then we develop this great roadmap for a plan for that person based on what their like goals are, what their needs are, and what their interests are. So that can mean joining some of our exercise classes or tweaking their program at the gym or upping the intensity of their hiking program or getting back into group sporting events like we've done beach volleyball and pickleball, right? So just kind of helping people make, I think, small adjustments to their current plans to be able to help stay ahead and stay healthy. We also have some grant programs that we host every year with the Parkinson's Foundation, which has been amazing, that get people involved in both our therapies as well as our exercise classes. So there's great opportunities for that. We have some unique opportunities now that we're really trying to grow for people with young onset Parkinson's, where we're connecting them again with our therapy team, our psychology team, and then looking towards some group atmosphere, so that way we can be able to help those individuals stay connected to their identity and their goals, which look much different for somebody who is later on in life and living with Parkinson's disease. And then we have this amazing wellness program. So we have group classes that include boxing. We have functional fitness classes, which tie in power moves. But we have our personal trainers who are incredible at working with people with Parkinson's. Our yoga therapist, who does such a great job helping to rebuild people's movement control, balance, and confidence. So it is just, it can be all the things. And I think that it has to be all the things to be able to meet the individuals where they are when they come into our doors or our Zoom rooms. So
Yes, yes. As you were talking about it, I was like, wow, we have a lot of options for
yeah,
people.
yeah,
And I think the overwhelming theme, just like with our other programs, is this kind of whole person
hmm
approach. Our PTs love working with Parkinson's, our OTs, psychology, we have neuropsychology testing, we have these
hmm
great trainers, and like so passionate about Parkinson's. Um, and one of the pieces I was thinking about that is this is different than when I even started reactive.
yeah,
Like we just have PT, which is really great for Parkinson's,
hmm
but it's not all of the pieces.
hmm
Um, and
hmm
I know you're a fitness fanatic as
yeah, yeah,
well. And I think having ways to help find those individual pieces for somebody that helps them stay active
hmm
and exercising, because we know it helps the brain. Um, like I feel like that's something we're constantly like, oh well, what if we do, how about boxing and how about this, like having
hmm
multiple things. And in fact, we added a class to our F&D membership, and we're opening it up to other people because you and I talked about how helpful this could be with Parkinson's. And I wonder if you could hit on this autonomic component. I
hmm
know we created a free resource
yeah.
about it, but we started a class that is for dysautonomia and how this could be helpful for somebody with Parkinson's.
Yeah. Yeah, so excited to talk about this topic in particular. We know that some of the earliest changes that people experience in Parkinson's, like years before diagnoses, are often that of changes to the autonomic nervous system. And those are vast and vary in different people. But one of the most common ones that we see are instability and kind of fluctuations of blood pressure, including orthostatic hypotension, whether it's neurogenic or non-neurogenic, right? And that's a whole different topic. I know we'll dive into in a month or so. But I meet a lot of people who, being upright can be very challenging to like stay upright for exercise and have it be safe. Maybe that's every day, maybe that's just days when they're feeling more off. And so being able to have a way to still get good exercise and movement challenge is so important, to be able to do that in different positions. And so I think that a lot of times we don't get people on the floor enough, or we don't see enough opportunities to be able to have people challenge themselves in positions other than upright. So the exercise for dysautonomia class is so wonderful because it not only coaches people through this, but it also educates them and empowers them to understand their autonomic system a little bit more. And so I feel like for these individuals who I meet, who, I mean, often they're telling me like their biggest challenge is just enough energy to get through a
Mm-hmm.
day,
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless adding in, a walk, which will make them tired for 2 or 3 days after, or even, being on their feet for more than 10 minutes can mean they're done for the rest of the day. Well, that doesn't make sense to put them in a standing class. Like that doesn't make sense to challenge them
Mm-hmm.
there. But can we get building blocks using some of these strategies from that exercise for dysautonomia class and help empower them to start where they are to be able to progress to where they want to be?
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. And again, I'm like, oh, we never had this class. We need this class, and I'm so glad. And maybe you should answer too for people that will ask is people do ask me like, how can I come? How can I do this program or classes? And can you work with me if I am in Indiana? That was one of the recent ones
Mhm.
that they asked me. So I wonder if you could talk through the ways people can access our services.
Yeah, I feel like the first step, if you go on our website and apply for our programs, that's a great first step because you will be connected to a free consultation, whether that's wellness directed or therapy directed. As far as our therapy services, we are limited to state lines, so we can provide our PT, OT, and psychology services in the state of California. And we do have a couple therapists that are licensed in a couple other states, but that's more of a limited opportunity. What is not limited by state lines is our wellness program. So you are able to join that amazing class I just spoke about, as well as some of our power moves types classes, our boxing classes, work one-on-one with a personal trainer, work one-on-one with our yoga therapist, regardless of where you are. And then I guess to bridge back to our therapy programs to internationally, we can see people in both therapy and in wellness. So I think that, distance or location is not as big of a hurdle because I do think that our wellness program being led by our team of specialists is so incredible. And especially lately, we've been doing a ton of educating in our classes to help empower people to learn about themselves and feel empowered to take information they're getting from classes and apply it to life or bring it to clinicians in their area, to be able to have these things addressed there. So, yeah, I definitely encourage just applying and getting that consult and that conversation, because I think that there's so much we can do regardless of where you're at.
And I think that's the cool thing is like when people reach out to Reactive, either they apply online. So, by the way, that's the easiest way to get in. Apply online. You're going to meet with Emily. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to actually meet with Emily and um, get your questions answered and get like a customized program, whether that is for wellness if you're out of state or coming in person. And I feel like everybody should be signing up to meet with you, Emily. Because you just have such a wealth of information,
Mhm.
and really understanding how it applies to each individual person too. And one of those pieces, I know we talked about the dysautonomia class, but you put together a resource for people
Mhm.
about the autonomic nervous system. And I wonder if you can share, like, where did the inspiration for this come from,
Yeah.
for people? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like our team here, including yourself, I'm fascinated by the nervous system, and I feel like there's always something more to learn. And I am every day inspired by the people that I work with, and by running into roadblocks in a lot of ways. And so, last year, I did a lot of digging into the autonomic nervous system and Parkinson's disease, because I was working with a lot of people who had pretty exhausting fatigue, and very dysregulated GI systems, and a lot of freezing of gait, and strategies that are very helpful, would help some, but not as much as I thought they should. And it was kind of what else might be going on. And so that leads to the deep dives. And what I was finding is that, a lot of this information was, newer to me, was definitely new to the people that I was working with, and isn't really talked about that much. Like, isn't talked about in therapy, isn't talked about with, um, some of the physicians that they might see, terms that they hadn't heard of before. And so it felt, to be able to give people information, and tools and strategies, because the nice thing about this dive, and like you see in the guide, is that there are directly things that you can start to do immediately to take back control of your autonomic system, and some symptoms that come from that system not working the way that it should. And there's just so much empowerment to, I think, understanding what's happening rather than having so many questions, because there's like this big mystery with Parkinson's in terms of stability and consistency, and not knowing what's going to happen one day versus the next day, and 1 hour to the next hour, I mean, can look so different from people. And like, just trying to help people organize things in their lifestyle and with their routines, like a shout out OTs,
Mm-hmm.
and just how they're like nurturing their nervous system every day to be able to bring a sense of control, back into their life. And so, yeah, I think it was inspired by the questions that many of my patients have, and the empowerment and like results that we saw from implementing those strategies.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's been really helpful to apply what we also are learning about other disorders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And going, oh, this is also dysfunction in Parkinson's. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what, for folks with Parkinson's or even other clinicians, what are some of the symptoms that we might see in Parkinson's that are signs of autonomic dysfunction? Just so people could be thinking like, oh, maybe I should screen for these things, and maybe some of what we're sharing with this guide, and we've got a brand new workshop coming up on
Mm-hmm.
this topic too. Like, how would they know that this might be what they're looking for?
Yeah, I think some of the most common things that people will say to me, well, I mean, blood pressure, right? That is a very, um, evident one. I will say for clinicians or people, I think, there was a post the other day on it. Being dizzy is not the only reason you should check your blood pressure in multiple positions. We should just be checking and screening that pretty regularly, because there can be silent. I don't, the other symptoms are not so silent, but there can be, I guess, like hidden symptoms of orthostatic hypotension that are not like the typical, am I dizzy upon standing? So I do think, though, obviously somebody coming in that maybe is dizzy upon standing, right? That would be a clue. I often hear people talk about not being able to regulate their temperature. So, like
Mhm.
way too hot, way too cold. That clues me into something, the autonomic nervous system, gut challenges, so constipation and even urinary frequency can be some indicators that there are some changes to the autonomic system. Sleep challenges, definitely also part of it, which I feel like maybe people listening, if you work with people who have Parkinson's, or you are someone who has Parkinson's, like you're probably like, yes, like these things. um, Another evident one can be, symptoms that worsen during times of stress, right? And like a clue that maybe the autonomic system could be a gateway to helping improve symptoms. So, um, yeah, I think those are probably big ones that people may mention, and to kind of look out for, and then diving deeper in with assessing things like blood pressure, heart rate, or HRV, can be very helpful.
Yeah. And so you created this awesome little guide,
Mhm.
and we've been sharing it for the last couple of weeks to people. And I want to say there's like 300 people already that downloaded this guide, so it's clearly helpful for people. Give me the name of it, just so we can share, and where people can find this guide if they're looking for it.
Yeah. So you can find it linked on our webpage. So if you go to reactivept.com/PD program, you'll be able to find a link that will take you directly to our freebie. So it's called the Parkinson's freebie, and you'll get 3 simple strategies to help control your symptoms. And a lot of it most of it is centered around the autonomic nervous system, and some of those strategies, like I mentioned earlier, that you can start to implement now. Kind of I guess, the tip of the iceberg of the dive
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was done.
the tip of the iceberg for sure. Because I know you and I really like to dive deep, and we go
Yeah.
down these rabbit holes, which is why we also are going to share more
Mhm.
in a workshop. And I know we haven't even shared about this workshop yet, but it is happening next month. And I wonder if you can share about this workshop and what that will be about, and also where people can find that if they want to sign up for it.
Yeah. So the workshop is going to be on June 13th, and that's a Thursday. It'll be at 5 o'clock Pacific time. If you sign up to download the freebie, you will automatically, I guess you will receive even more bonuses than just the freebie, because you'll be receiving information on the daily that dives even deeper to what's in that. And you'll also get a direct link to sign up for the masterclass that we're having. Um, my focus on this masterclass is really going to be on helping people understand their nervous system beyond like movement. I think we don't talk enough about the non-motor symptoms that people experience with Parkinson's disease, whether that's because we're like therapists operating in silo, or we just don't feel as like confident, or maybe we haven't taken that dive. But I want to take that dive. And so I think we live in this amazing space where the research is abundant, the research is growing about exercise and Parkinson's disease and how amazing it is, and all of the things that you can do through exercise to slow disease progression and help make positive brain changes. But there is not as much that gets talked about for some of the other like non-motor symptoms. So we're going to chat about that and what you can do about it, from a blend of lifestyle and routine, simple day-to-day changes, from inputs and influence from our psychology team, from yoga therapy, from our fitness professionals. So it's just going to be a whole picture, because it should be. We should be talking about the whole picture, because that's life.
That is life. We are humans. We are not disconnected body parts and brains. And we have done workshops for people with Parkinson's, like almost since we opened, which was 12
Mhm.
years ago. And we they're some of the highlights of my year, because it's so fun to talk to people with Parkinson's, to get their input and
Mhm.
feedback. And so this particular masterclass, though, I feel like hits even deeper
Mhm.
on topics that, like you said, we don't talk about enough, and they could
Mhm.
have a really important impact for a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think helping people, I think sometimes people don't even know what to ask. Like, I feel like since I've even grown my own understanding and I'm asking about some of these things, people are like, but yeah, how did you know that? Or nobody's ever asked me that before, right?
Mm,
And that shouldn't be the case. And I also think, too, it helps us be able to connect people to other physicians and resources that maybe they hadn't thought of before,
mm,
to just build a team around them, like we're able to do here. And like everybody needs, is to have a team, that you can kind of keep in your pocket, right? And you you pull out the people from the team when you need, but knowing that you have them there and knowing who should be there, I think is just such an empowering space to live in.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So I will, by the way, I'll make it so with this video, if you comment on it once we post it, for our Parkinson's masterclass, we'll send you the link. So you could directly sign up. You can save the date for June 13th in the evening. And Emily, I want to end here maybe with you sharing a little bit about, like, why why do you love working with people with Parkinson's? Like, I know you're probably one of the most passionate people I know on this topic. And yeah, what is it about working with people with Parkinson's that you love?
Yeah. I think it's a layered question for me. I know, like, I know people with Parkinson's. Parkinson's has impacted my family, and so I think there is, on a personal note, having some of the understanding or being someone who's asking questions, that definitely fuels a fire for me, and I think helps me be able to connect with people too. But I think even more than that, or maybe I guess layered on top of that, is I find that so many people, that work in neuro or other kind of identify Parkinson's as almost simple. And I find that so frustrating because it is anything but. And I feel like, people with Parkinson's disease, there was a study that came out last year that less than 10% of people were even connected to movement disorder specialists. 40% of people were only seeing their primary care physician, or not even, about Parkinson's disease. And when we know so much and there is so much that we can do, but we're not connecting with people to be able to do something about it, like that just to me is a calling, right? It's like a calling to do more and to serve more. And I feel like we can never just enter a space where something so complex is considered simple, or like you just do this one routine, or it's not like that. Our people evolve, our nervous system evolves. And so I just feel really passionate about keeping it an area that is always like questioned and researched and motivating, because I think that people living with Parkinson's disease deserve that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they do, and I know that you and I both love the complexity of some of these things. So, yeah. Well, Emily, our team is so thankful to have you leading this program. But I think the numerous people that are here, which in fact, I know we were looking at numbers. We serve a lot of people with Parkinson's every year. And what is that impact in our Parkinson's program?
I think it is as diverse as the programs that we offer. I was reflecting on this, and just kind of thinking back to like some of my experiences or some of the team's experiences between all of the wins that we see shared for people in our wellness program who maybe met me in an early evaluation program and weren't exercising and didn't know what to do and are now taking classes 4 to 5 times a week and crushing it and feeling amazing, sending pictures on hikes and like just awesome things. I think about some of our people who, with young onset Parkinson's disease, who have come to us with very specific goals related to moving better to be able to work, and moving better to be able to sustain social life and family life, and exiting with, like one specific example of somebody who worked with our physical therapy and psychology, showing like a 7 or 8 point improvement on their personal goal scale, their specific, patient specific functional scale, which a significant improvement is 2, right? So improving 7 to 8 points on being able to move better at work and manage symptoms at work. Um, I think about, we've had somebody come in for a program, out of state, who had been newly diagnosed, and the most dramatic improvements were in their generalized mood and anxiety. And so I think that, like, I couldn't sum it up into something, because I think just like our program caters to so many different people who have so many different goals, the outcomes are so specific to the people. And I think that's what makes our team so incredible, and like what makes the consult process to translating to the team so incredible, because we're meeting someone where they are and helping them get where they want to go, by the excellent resources that we have available to us. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And I know it's a lot of people too. I think over 300 people applied to our program last year.
Mhm.
Um, and there were, we had a lot of folks do our program too. Almost half of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
folks that applied did a program in some way, PT, OT,
Mhm.
psychology, and a lot of folks in our wellness
Yeah,
program
yeah.
as well. Yeah. So, it's just fun to hear the stories and the impact, and kind of the why of why we
Yeah.
do what we do. So, thank you so much, Emily. We're so lucky to have you, and people with Parkinson's are lucky that you're leading the way with us at
Thank
Reactive.
you.
So, thanks for sharing about this program. And then again, we'll share our free resources. So, we've got a free guide with 3 tips of really how to manage and control your symptoms, specifically through the autonomic nervous system. And then we have a masterclass for people with Parkinson's coming up on June 13th. So fun stuff for you to come and join us with, and we look forward to seeing you then. Thanks,
Yeah, I'm so
everybody.
excited. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Emily. Bye.
Bye.